awesome. We're doing live, people. How's it going, everybody? Midnight's Edge After Dark. Getting used to our regular start time.
Demonetized as we started.
Oh, screw
Yeah, it
that.
doesn't matter. Live streams don't get views. It's just a little video. So.
Yeah, just I'm not going to step on Rob's intro too much, but just so for future reference, from now on, these are going to get unlisted. You can get to them through the playlist, but we're just going to section off maybe one or two stories, and then we'll be gone. But we're not going.
Because that's how much we care about you. It really is. We go the extra mile. How's it going? Rob Robot Shlomo here from Shabby Road Studios. With me as always, Mr. Tom Connors.
That's allegedly.
Tom's in witness protection. We don't know who this guy is.
Hi, Marty. How you doing?
Yes. And with us, as always, is Mr. Tyler not always. He joins us from time to time. Mr. Tyler Bioshock Rodriguez.
Heyo.
And also joining us is the Mistress of Mayhem herself, Miss Mary Mayhem.
Howdy, everybody.
Hope everybody enjoyed Marioki's Saturday night. I know I enjoyed myself.
Oh, yeah. It was a lot of fun.
It's because you were drunk, Rob.
I was not drunk. I knew exactly what I was doing.
Allegedly.
I was drunk, though. I don't remember it.
Yeah. And that voice you hear, of course, is the very lovely and the very talented and writing crap out.
The one and only robot, ninja, warrior, princess, mecha, harpy, red robot, whatever else.
Demon Angel.
Award-winning chef.
Got it. You always got it.
Miss Mecha Random.
One of these days I'll get a glove for this. I also have a gavel.
What type of glove?
I don't know.
Nintendo Power Glove.
I like opera gloves.
I was gonna say an opera glove, like an elbow length.
I
Yeah.
even watched that video where I was there. I can't remember which.
Well, it might make it hurt more, though. An opera glove.
Oh.
Maybe.
That's half the fun, though.
Tyler, you're so weird.
I know.
Is my bird crashing? What's going on here? Something's not right.
You're here
Batman article.
for now.
Well, the Batman article is not loading. Forbes is being very, very. Forbes is being a dick. Okay,
link it to you again. Yeah, I've got a video coming on this article too, but
crazy.
16-bit mascot's right. We need a T-shirt from Mecha that says "Ask me about my writing crop."
This is my camera's on.
Oh yeah. Well, before we get to the main story, because Rob's having issues, we'll just sit here and wait.
Okay. Holy crap! I'm freaking. Well, whole thing is, I'm trying to. I thought maybe I could capture this, but I'd have to reduce it in.
I got it.
Okay, there's. You can capture it.
Yeah, I got OBS.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. We can do that then. Thanks. I've got OBS. OBS is up and running now for me. So
I got it as a background, and I'm awesome. So I'll even show you what the background is going to be. So to kick things off, our main story tonight is about the box office slump and what everybody seems to think the answer to it is, or why it is, or who it is, or what it is. Mary did a video about this. We did a rant about it. Did you do a video about it, Mecha?
it's coming. It's coming. I decided to go with Jerry Ryan's owning an SJW first, but yeah, that one.
We're going to talk about that a little later. So yeah, everybody's got their ideas as to why there's a box office slump. You ready, Rob, to tell us why that is?
Because the movies frickin' suck. That's why.
Well, we'll get into that part.
I agree.
Yeah, on that list in front of us, only 2 of those films are actually good, and they're the ones making money.
Well, Breitbart, whoever did a article about it, we covered that one, and then I seen this one by Scott, Mendelson. That meddling Mendelsohn.
Doesn't he look creepy? He seriously looks like he does things he shouldn't do.
Yeah, he's got that that shit-eating grin, like just creeper grin. Like he's like,
yeah, has it look of like, yeah, my neighbor's John Wayne Gacy, and I know what he does.
And I help him bury the bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he doesn't do that, but he just kind of looks like this.
Yeah, he did an article.
That's everybody through Scott Mendelsohn.
We came up with some lame ass excuses, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. So, Rob, read well, not the whole damn thing, probably, but just the main. I don't care.
All right. Well, according to Scotty Wilson, can we call him Scotty? Sounds condescending.
I call him Scotty Boy.
Well, whatever. According to Scotty Boy,
yeah,
it's not Star Wars that ruined the Hollywood blockbuster. It was Batman. Yeah. Okay. Whatever, Scotty. I'm exhausted just thinking about it. Today's June 23rd, 2019, making the 30th anniversary of Tim Burton's Batman. It's no secret that the 1989 blockbuster was my favorite movie growing up and remains among my favorite movies to this day. Oh, congratulations, Scott. Whether the Nolan movies, especially the first two, or Burton's own Batman Returns remains the superior live-action Batman movie, the Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson gothic action fantasy still holds up as a one-of-a-kind blockbuster spectacular. But it's also the movie that, as I've noted here and there over the years, is responsible for many of the trends that led to the theatrical industry's current impasse. Looking back at its success, I maintain that Batman, not Star Wars, and certainly not Jaws, is the movie most responsible for the current Hollywood blockbuster.
Bullshit.
Forget whose Windows is updating. What happened?
That was me.
Oh, no.
That was my computer calling bullshit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, Scotty continues. First, for those who came in late, Batman isn't the first big-budget comic book superhero movie, as Richard Donner's Superman beat it to the punch by about 10.5 years. And it didn't kick off the wave of successful comic book superhero movies, as most of the would-be copycats were period piece Pulp Fiction adaptations of the 1930s and 1940s and 1950s comic book strips and radio shows. Since Batman played, especially in its first third, what the hell is he even talking about here? He's losing me. As a 1940s pulp crime noir, it made sense that Hollywood would. Yeah, okay, well, react, yada yada, give you Dick Tracy, Rocketeer, Shadow, Phantom. Okay, shut up, Scott. It wasn't until Hollywood started giving us present tense of the moment comic book adaptations, Spawn, Blade, somebody acknowledges Blade. Look at that.
Yay.
Fine. Yay. That audiences wanted to see that the genre as we know it took flight. Two significant trends that Batman helped popularize, namely casting a non-action star as an action hero and offering a scenery-chewing, scene-stealing supervillain, Jack Nicholson's gonzo bananas turn as the Joker, can also be claimed by Die Hard.
You know this has anything to fucking... Never mind. Keep going.
Well, but he's saying that's why. He's pretty much trying to...
He's a moron, too. I don't care. I don't care if he's listening or not. I really don't.
He's trying to build a case here.
Yeah.
But it's a case. Putting aside the unprecedented pre-release hype and the marketing bonanza, the likes of which Spaceballs could only dream about, was there Batman toilet paper? No, there wasn't. The ahead of its time fan outrage over Michael Keaton's unconventional casting as Bruce Wayne and its domestic box office triumph in a summer of sequels, Batman was a trendsetter and a groundbreaker in two very specific ways. First, obviously, it showed Hollywood that they could make a film, a non-sequel film, no less, that could be presumed a guaranteed moneymaker by virtue of its source material. Sure, it wasn't the first Hollywood blockbuster whose popularity partially stemmed from a book or a play. Think Gone with the Wind, Ben-Hur, The Godfather, or Jaws. But Batman's success signaled to the industry that they could raid their IP for potential movie material. As such, we had comic book movies, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, video game movies, Super Mario Brothers, That's barely a video game movie. Films based on popular TV shows, The Fugitive. Movies stemming directly from TV shows, Wayne's World, X-Files, Fight the Future. And films based on theme park rides, Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. He's going a long way for this.
See, what he's just telling me.
This shit.
No, what he's telling us is that no, the 90s is what killed movies because they didn't know what the crap they were doing by then. They decided to go out of their way to go in and just do whatever. They're pulling at whatever they can. They're just throwing shit at the wall and see what sticks. Right? They don't have anything like a Goonies or Ghostbusters or anything that is a passion film. These are all how can we market these.
Wasn't Pirates of the Caribbean 2003? That's not even of the decade. Why'd he quote that?
No. Well, I will agree that the 90s shit went downhill, but that's a totally different reason than what he's getting at here. Mm-hmm. Warner Brothers had no clue Batman was going to be that big until damn near close to when it came out. They had an inkling, but they didn't have a clue how big it was really going to be.
Well, the case he's making here is that it set the trend for movies based on other things.
No, it didn't.
That's what he's trying to say. He goes. He's talking about The Fugitive, Dragnet, 87. Those weren't very good. He goes. Nonetheless, success of Batman, a record-crushing 43 million opening, 251 domestic box office for him, $11 million worldwide, on $50 million budget was so towering that the industry took any kind of prior material they could get their hands on for a possible film adaptation. The massive success of Batman, the 5th biggest domestic grosser of all time, 30 years ago, unique. Okay, blah blah blah. Unlike fantasy blockbusters that followed Star Wars, Batman was sold around existing source material. Yes and no.
It made that much money because it was Batman, yes, but it didn't start the trend. It ended with Dick Tracy a year later then. Because if that's what he's trying to say, because Superman the movie just came out of nowhere in 78 and there was tons of shit based on other material in the 80s.
We've always had, as long as I've been alive, I can remember things being based on other things, but it wasn't the predominant type of media that we got, right? Like we had a variety of stuff. There was just that there were always things based on other things, and that goes back to the beginning of time. Since we've had the written word, you base things on things.
Yeah, that goes back to like the Great Train Robbery is based on train robberies of the 1890s. Like, come on, there's nothing new.
Well, the Odd Couple is based on a play. MASH is based on a series of books. There's been IPs been turned into movies. Other things. Okay, well, anyway.
Robin Hood movies, 500. You could go this way back if you really want.
Mythology, like my Fair Lady is based on Pygmalion, which is based on a Greek legend, or I'm like, that's not really that new.
Hercules, Sinbad. It goes back pretty far. Well, anyways, he goes, the other trend that Batman began, because he's a pun, was the notion of a kid-targeted property being fashioned to a movie aimed at older moviegoers. Yes, I saw Batman on opening weekend as a 9-year-old. I was 19 at the time, making me feel old. And I wasn't scarred for life, nor was I among the kids traumatized by Batman Returns. But I digress. Nonetheless, at the time, the PG-13 rating was 4 years old. And the idea of a comic book superhero being both PG-13 and a dark, violent, and sexual enough to damn well deserve a rating was a huge deal. Batman, and especially Batman Returns, were action fantasies pitched at adult moviegoers and filtered through adult sensibilities. It was considered adult enough that Disney successfully opened Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, $14 million $14 million debut, $140 million cum the same day. The notion that a Batman movie that wasn't for kids, filled with some adult movie stars like Jack Nicholson, Michael Keaton, and Kim Basinger, became a template for the current Hollywood temple. More so than, hey, it's based on that thing you love with those characters you adore. Batman was a pioneering 4-quadrant blockbuster, at least on this scale. That played
Superman the movie altogether, like completely.
It sounds like it. It sounds like
Superman the movie has all these things. All of these things. They tried to make Batman the movie since then. It just took that long to get it put together.
Tim Burton.
Richard Donner says, "Fuck you."
Tim Burton said he was trying to get a Batman movie made for 10 years. 10 years. I mean,
Well,
if you can find it on
John Hamm, or not John Hamm. What the hell's his name? Hamm is his last name, but I can't remember his first name.
Peters?
No, it's something else. Somebody in the chat will remember. He was trying to get it made for years and years and years too.
Not John.
It just seems like scapegoating. It just all seems like a vast amount of scapegoating.
Well,
Sam Hamm. Thank you, Byron Dunbar.
Well, Scott Mendelson is okay. Listen, there was a time I used to like Scott Mendelson, but he's just gone off the deep end recently. I don't know what is going on with him.
Sure.
It's for clicks. It's for clicks. I mean, I think so many of these people, they know that their news sites are kind of getting irrelevant. And the only time we go to Forbes is like, oh God, what crazy article did Scott Mendelson put out today? What clickbait headline did he put out today?
He's trying to make he's trying to make the case though that at least Star Wars and Raiders of the Lost Ark were original properties. But at the same time, you had James Bond, which had been much earlier, introduced much earlier, was based on a series of books from the 1950s. I mean, so even that doesn't even that, if you try to make your case on that, you still it's a very flimsy case to try to make.
Wait, Indiana Jones original, it was inspired by all those serials from the 1930s. You can't call it entirely original.
Well, and you can't possibly believe that this is a legitimate or accurate way of portraying things, and it's certainly not going to address the problem.
No. How much more is left, Rob, so we can move up to nowadays?
Let me just you can read the whole thing, but let me just jump to the final paragraph. But he's talking about how this is paved the way for what we have now. None of this is the fault of anyone involved in Batman's success, any more than Spielberg or George Lucas are responsible for Hollywood's 40-year blockbuster fever. The key difference is that between what Batman represented compared to the more original concept-driven fantasy flicks of the 1980s makes it the film that provided the blueprint for Hollywood's current glories and current long-term struggles. The lessons it taught and the opportunities it exposed with its IP sell, hyper-driven pre-release marketing blitz, and an opening weekend so huge that it barely needed to be liked to be a hit, it changed things, and there was no going back. It is one of my favorite movies of all time, but it put Hollywood on a path towards potential ruin. Well, no, I think crappy movies put Hollywood on a path to potential ruin.
Yeah.
Because if what you're saying is true, the X-Men Dark Phoenix should be a monster hit.
Yeah. Well, and it alleviates people of their responsibility today, right? Like you have a responsibility when you make a movie, if you want it to be good, if you want it to be able to stand the test of time, to give it legs to stand on, right? So people know that when you throw something out there that's just meant to drag people in right off the bat, but it doesn't have legs to stand on, you're ultimately going to fail. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. So right now what he's doing is trying to alleviate people of the responsibility of doing their job and doing it well. And it doesn't work. What kind of a shill are you? This is stupid. I don't understand this kind of logic or thinking.
No. And a better example would have been Godzilla 1998.
Mm-hmm.
That is what we're living in. The same thing over and over again every fucking summer since then. And the movie that came out the year after that, The Phantom Menace. Those two movies alone are responsible for what we're dealing with today because they were all about that first weekend box office so they could hide the fact that they had a turd on their hands.
They also were nostalgic cash-ins.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is all anything is anymore.
Yes. Most things are nostalgic.
We never had 20 fucking Batmans before that. But we did have a Superman before that did all the things that Mendelson said that did. So if that's the case, then it would have started then. No, this is Hollywood not taking responsibility for the shit they're shoveling and expecting us to pay for it on the first weekend. That started Memorial Day fucking weekend, 1998 with Godzilla. Because they knew they had a piece of shit in their hands and they did the best they could to sell it that first weekend to make their money back.
Yeah. I'll admit, I went to go see Godzilla that weekend. I'll admit it.
I did.
Hey, hey, Godzilla. Hey, this should be pretty good. Nope. Nope.
There was still an air of like this could fail with Batman. You know, and the reason Spielberg's movies did well was because they were fucking Spielberg movies. People knew if Spielberg's name's attached to it, that's going to be a good movie. There's a reason why Steven Spielberg presents Back to the Future. Steven Spielberg presents Gremlins. All he did was produce them. Same thing with Goonies.
That goes back to the olden days. Like I just saw Strangers on a Train, the Hitchcock film, and I just read up that Raymond Chandler's name's in the script because, well, his name's more marketable.
Wait a minute, Tom. You mean people didn't go see Back to the Future because Kathleen Kennedy produced it? Oh my goodness, this is a revelation.
More because Michael J. Fox was in it and Steven Spielberg produced it than anything. Those were the two key factors.
Well, people didn't know who she was.
For my childhood.
I didn't know her fucking name. Like I vaguely knew that I saw her name on Animaniacs every now and then.
I don't want her name. That's
they floated Steven Spielberg out there presents Animaniacs constantly, right? Like he had a for a reason. He was known for doing good quality content. So.
Yeah, he was like the equivalent of a modern day Disney.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as his name was attached to it, people trusted it. You know, and we've talked about this before too, Rob, and I think Mecca's been involved too, where we've talked about how there's no stars anymore. Look at this thing we got up here on the screen now. The only movie star that's up here really is Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
And he's at best, I mean, now he's an A-lister, but Rob and most of us on the panel are old enough to remember when he was just a fucking joke.
Yeah, 20 years ago, he was so close to death.
Yeah, I mean, the times where he went from falling asleep drunk, sleeping in kids' beds to being on the sheets and blankets and pillows of kids' beds. Yeah. And that is not even a lie. That's the truth.
Oh, no. Like, I remember the famous Simpsons gag where it's like them going by going, hey, look, they're making a movie. Robert Downey Jr. shooting out with the police. But where's the cameras?
He was in court. He said, Your Honor, I need help. The way I'm going, I have the gun in my mouth and I could taste the gunmetal and I like it. He goes, I need help. He was begging, pleading for help, Robert Downey Jr. And he got his second chance, and you know what? He made the most of it.
Yeah.
And like you said, he's right now the closest thing we have to movies. Tom Hanks is
Tom Hanks, I guess you could say, with Woody.
Yeah.
But he's not selling Toy Story.
No. But Tom Hanks, people like Tom Hanks. People go see movies with Tom Hanks in them. Hey, Tom Hanks in the movie stuff.
Like America's Uncle or something.
Yeah, well, grandfather.
Yeah, you don't see 6-year-olds going, I loved that movie. Tom Hanks was amazing. His performance captured everything I needed. You don't hear that. But I'm just saying, I digress. And the point here is, the overall point is we're getting shit fucking movies. And this takes me to that Breitbart article that you did with Mary, where, you know, they're talking about, oh, there's all these franchises and they're top tier, you know, franchises and they're golden gooses. That's the word they use. None of these franchises are technically golden gooses that we're talking about. Endgame is the only one on this poster that doesn't belong there, because that technically came out before summer anyway. But regardless, even though Godzilla is an old franchise, Men in Black's an old franchise, X-Men's an old franchise, they're not bringing in the people like they used to because the movies are subpar. Yes, out of all these, I know a lot of people did like Godzilla. I mean, I didn't care for the human side of it, but I love the monsters. Other than that, I can see why it got mixed word of mouth.
Yeah.
Child's Play is another one that's getting mixed word of mouth, and that thing will be lucky to make its money back. I mean, and that's rare for a horror movie to not make its money back, but we found out what the budget was today due to Scott Mendelson, or yesterday it was, or it was today, because he did a story on how Child's Play isn't doing as well as hoped, but it's better than everybody thought it was going to be. Well, that's great, but it's still not going to make its fucking money back. It cost $10 million, and they spent how much on advertising?
Yeah.
And MGM's distribution deal is shit, so they're going to see nothing out of the foreign sales. They're going to hope the video saves their ass. And then Mendelson said what I've been saying all along is they may not even be able to do a sequel to the damn thing because they don't own the sequel rights. So
they don't seem to have any care or concern with how much they throw into these things, because they expect us to just go see it anyway, right? You attach a name to it and there it is. That's enough. That's all you need. And they don't expect consumers to do what consumers actually do, which is be selective. You don't just have to go. We have Netflix. We can sit at home on our comfy couches and watch whatever the heck we want. All we do have to do is wait a couple months for it to hit streaming. People don't have to even go out to rent the movie anymore. So it's at this point now where they don't even stop to realize or recognize that consumers we don't want to go out for a subpar product.
No. One of the things that they kind of have been conditioning people to kind of think is that, oh, you don't know until you see the movie. You have to see it to know if it's any good or not. And they bash you for saying, hey, that trailer looks like a piece of shit. No, that's what the trailer is for. Remember Ghostbusters, remember pretty much remember Solo. Like this is part of it. They're conditioning people to kind of say that they have to see a movie and they have to see it opening night, and you have to, or else it's going to be spoiled for you. Oh no, spoilers. And I'm kind of at the point where I just don't care if I get spoiled on some of these movies. Like, I didn't care if I got spoiled on Endgame.
Well, and we're happy to let other people be the guinea pigs at this point, right? Because remember back in the day when hair plugs were like super, super terrible, and you look like you had like ants running across your head, and like we waited a long time. We waited a long time. Now hair plugs look pretty good, and now people are willing to go spend their money on it, and it's not a big deal anymore, right? But people are now willing and happy to wait to allow other people to be the guinea pigs, because we're not interested in spending $10, $12 on a single ticket to go to a movie to see something that we didn't enjoy, where we have the internet to tell us whether or not it sucks. And I know you have super chats, so I'm not gonna keep rambling, but
sorry.
That's okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Well, let's get to the super chats. Okay, we got Deranged Lunatic, $2 super chat. Godzilla 1998 was a Godzilla-sized turd. Yeah, no argument there. Another one from Deranged Lunatic, $2 super chat. Robert Downey Jr. claims Mel Gibson helped him out. Mel Gibson? This guy's cuckoo, dude. Drunk 3PO, a $4.99 super chat. I don't go to the movies much because it's expensive. I'd rather spend my money at Red Lobster. Great panel as always. Well, thank you, Drunk 3PO. Glad you did.
Wait. So does that mean Robert Downey Jr. beat his problem by squeezing his nipples?
No.
Oh, my nipples! Oh, my nipples are so sorry.
You'll have to torture me for that. Oh no!
But yeah, Drunk 3PO is right. I mean, it's so much. I would rather spend $15 on a super chat than spend $15 on a movie sometimes, because some of these movies are just like, I don't want to be bothered. I'm gonna go to the movie theater. I have to get there a half an hour early just to make sure I get something to drink and popcorn or whatever, if I want it. And then you have to like go through and sit through half an hour of commercials. You have people next to you shining their goddamn phones in your face. Of course. And then the movies are not that great anyway, and they keep insulting us. So of course I'd rather just watch something at home and not deal with that crap.
Oh, we got more super chats. Ryan 187, $10 super chat. Thank you very much. From your local sheriff to my Facebook peeps. Thank you very much. Alexander Wilson, $5 super chat. Interesting that Downey has only been in one non-MCU since beginning 2013. It tells you a lot. He knows where his bread is buttered.
No, I think he's done a couple other ones, hasn't he?
No, he's been in a few movies.
Yeah, he did like one every other year between. Yeah, like smaller movies. Yeah, you might want to check on. He's done at least a couple, at least a handful.
Maldecito 1904. I need quality to spend theater prices and crowds. And the other thing too is, that's a good point. Going to the movies has gotten much worse over the last few years. It really has.
Right. Well, and before you go down this road, because I know the road you're going down, I just want to kind of jump back to something that was kind of before a little bit here. And that is, we've been noticing the trend is changing. And I think the audience has caught up with it. And that is, they don't have to wait that long for the movie to come out on video now.
Yep. Like 2 months. 2 months.
It's getting shorter.
If you had to wait a half a year, and God forbid the movie was a hit, you weren't seeing that shit on video for 2-3 years.
Right.
What's funny, there was a controversy when I think Alice in Wonderland 2010 came out that I think France boycotted because the film was coming out like in 4 months on DVD, and everyone thought that was sacrilegious. Now it's like 2 months. Fuck it.
2 months, 3 months. Yeah, and we'll get more on that on a later story. But yeah, Rob, go down that road with the shitty experience, because I hate it too, especially when I'm spending $15 on a ticket.
I'll tell you the quick, but just before that, I'll tell you the quickest turnaround I ever saw in a movie was the Vanilla Ice one, Cold as Ice.
They beat that with that Justin from Kelly movie. It was like
really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
But anyway, back to that. I mean, I don't want to go. Okay, yeah, the theaters are more comfortable. The sound is better. Digital projection. But I have to deal with people and their cell phones and screaming kids.
Yes, all the fucking kids. Don't take your 2-year-old or your baby to a movie.
And God forbid you should have to pee in the middle of it, because then you can't pause it. You can't do anything about that. You just have to sit there and endure being distracted by your bladder screaming at you.
When I went to see The Force Awakens, there was a little kid, maybe 3-4 years old. That young. He was running up and down the aisles. He was climbing on the back of the seats. He was making all kinds of noise. His parents, his mom and dad would say to him, sit down. You have to sit down. And he would say in his little voice, no, no. And during the climactic scene, that's when he started to cry.
Of course.
And that's not an isolated incident.
Nope.
No. I had some dumb people someone next to me shining her stupid cell phone right in my eye during like one of the climactic scenes in It.
Didn't that happen at Rogue One for you, Rob, as well?
You can sum up the entire theater going experience into one word: hassle. It's a hassle. It's always a hassle.
It's a chore.
Every single time.
It's an expensive chore.
And why on earth would you go sit in this crowded, smelly theater where popcorn is going to cost you $10 and the drink is going to cost you $5? So if you go just by yourself, you're talking about a $25, $30 experience. So you can sit next to some sweaty guy next to you breathing down your neck while you're just trying to enjoy a movie with a screaming kid, and you've got to hold your bladder, when you could just hold on for 2 months, spend literally nothing if it goes straight to Netflix, which a lot of things do, most things do, and enjoy it on your couch, chilled out, cuddled up with somebody you like.
Well, how did you describe that guy before?
Oh, sweaty, smelly, breathing down your neck.
Oh, sorry about that, Mary. I didn't know that was you.
Oh man, you're bringing back my PTSD flashbacks when I saw The Revenant. Half the freaking crowd was on their phones. I was sitting next to a guy who I swear to God had tuberculosis.
If you have a cough, don't go to the movie.
Every minute he was like, like, oh my God, please God.
Of course, that being said, I was sick as a dog, and I did have a pretty bad cough during Shin Godzilla. But I was doing what I could to hold it.
Yeah, I was gonna say coughing, as long as it's not extremely obnoxious, or obviously the person shouldn't be there. Other than that, it's like the little things like y'all are saying, and that's what bothers me too. It's the cell phones. It's the kids at the theater. It was one where I had issues with. I brought this up before, where there was 2 kids behind me, like talking through the whole damn movie, and I was about to turn around and say, you know, if I wanted to listen to the audio commentary, I'd just wait till the fucking movie came out on Blu-ray, you know. But luckily somebody else said something first, you know. And I'm sorry, Tom. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, and sometimes though, you get afraid to say anything anymore because you don't know if you're gonna get shot nowadays.
Jay, look what happened with me at Halloween. They were trying. That guy was gonna like. Well, I have a video of it when I went and saw Halloween because I recorded.
Yeah, he got pretty hostile with you, considering you're just a woman. You know, that's kind of.
Yep. Yeah. And you know, I'm like, okay, should I call the police? Is this asshole going to?
You're a woman, and he was obviously a much bigger man.
Yeah. He was like, and it's not like you're just because you're. No, you treat anybody with respect. You don't threaten anybody, especially somebody smaller than you, if you're like in a movie like that. That's so stupid.
And this, I just like to preface this, but this isn't a recent phenomenon. This has been going on for the last 15, 20 odd years, that the movie going experience has been getting worse, progressively worse and worse and worse and worse. When I went to see Spider-Man in 2002, there were a group of homeboys and homegirls sitting right behind me, and they had to have a running commentary through the entire movie. Who's that? What he doing? He drunk. Oh man! Oh, look at that! I'm like, oh, for God's sake! And this is not. And oh, Larry, $3 super chat. Ka-ching! Oh, Rocky Boy, Glavatar, nice. Love that. You get a double ka-ching for that, okay? And you get the winning bell. Okay, there.
And presto.
And now here's something we hope you'll really like.
Well, I will say this: sorry. Excuse me. Go.
Well, like I said, it's been getting progressively worse. And when I went to see Casino Royale, there was a couple with a child in a stroller.
Oh God!
And this
that bothers me because you know why? And that's what pisses me off is the theaters will let infants and shit like that in for free.
Yeah.
But see, they used to have like baby rooms and smoking rooms and other things in a lot of the bigger theaters, so it wasn't such a big deal. But nowadays, these people won't miss the movie because they spent so much. It's like, spend the $10-15 on a babysitter, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. Dude, if you have money to go to a theater, right?
Exactly.
Then you should have the $20 that it's going to take to have a sitter come in for 2 hours and watch your kid, instead of forcing everyone around you to go through this hellish experience because you don't give a damn because you wanted to go out and see this movie. Well, look, and like you guys were saying earlier, like, you can wait 2 months. If you can hold off for like 2 months, this movie is going to be brought to you on your own giant on your own giant screen in your own living room where you can sit on your comfy couch and you don't have to put everyone through that hell or to pay for this ordeal, right? That's the big kicker. I think it's one of the big reasons why people are sort of getting more and more turned off or starting to realize that this is starting to get silly, at least during the summer months, right? That this is a silly thing to pay for when you're basically paying at least $15 bare minimum to go in to a theater where you have to deal with this hassle and people who don't give a damn about you and this uncomfortable experience. And when you could just hold off for a couple of months and be able to enjoy the movie. I do not believe that the theater experience is one that you're going to enjoy. Certainly not enough to pay $15 for. Now, if we were talking about it. $6 ticket, right? Like $6 for a ticket to see it a couple months ago.
Oh, yeah, matinee is not terrible. Like, so you can get matinees, you can get $5 Tuesdays, you can get cheaper. Like, I would only go see movies on Tuesdays because they were $5 in Wisconsin at the Marcus theaters. But you're absolutely right, and even then, even then, are the movies even that good though to even bother with, right?
They're really not.
That's the thing I was trying to say is you need an end game. You need something like that to get people out anymore to the theaters. And that part hasn't changed. What's changed is, and besides the whole Godzilla effect, is something I've studied for a while now. And that is just how Hollywood works in general. Now they've cut back a little bit here in the last couple years, but we went from in the 80s where I think the average of movies that released in a year was like 24 to 36 movies. Theatrically, like big releases, compared to like over 100 by the time we got to like 5-10 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, now they're training us. Well, they're training us to make these disposable is the problem. They're training us that we have to see it opening night or else it will be spoiled for us, or else everybody on social media will be talking about it. They'll spoil it. They'll tell you how it ended. So you have to see it opening weekend now because of social media. And that's almost extortion.
Be true. The spoiler thing is a genuine worry that when you don't see something in the first week, you're like, oh crap, someone's going to spoil this on social media. You start dodging people. And then sometimes you read an article back in and they spoil it. And like, I'm always,
care about that so much though. Well, I remember we just talked about this recently when trailers used to show the whole fucking movie.
Well,
literally the whole movie. You didn't need to see the movie.
I think people are quite careful, honestly. Like we spoiler alert the bejesus out of stuff these days. We're all very careful, and I think people, as a general rule, are quite considerate on that front. Maybe I've had a different experience than you, but when you go around online, literally the first thing that you see is spoiler alert. So you know when you're heading into territory that you're not supposed to be heading into. And so I've never. I mean, like, God, man, I went like freaking, what was it? A couple of weeks anyway without getting spoiled on Game of Thrones before
I'm shocked.
That's not even a theater release or whatever. Like,
people were getting spoiled on that like weeks before the episodes even aired.
I mean, I managed to avoid it. I think you can avoid these things. And I agree with Mecca completely. That's a measure of extortion for you to feel as though, oh, you're going to get spoiled. No, just be a little careful. If you're super worried about it, hang tight. And as long as we're careful and we're considerate of one another. And also this whole concept that you have to go to the theater for every single movie is stupid. No, make a good movie that's worth me going through that ordeal to go for. I'm sorry, but unless you've got like an in-game, something iconic at this point, I'm a little worn out. Because you keep promising me this stuff that doesn't work out, that isn't good, that I'm not interested in, that winds up just being the same repeated garbage that you keep vomiting out there for me to try to absorb. I've caught on to you. I'm wise to your shenanigans over there, people, and I'm fed up. I'm just not going to keep spending my money in order so that you can bamboozle me again.
I will say that we were talking about the negative experiences on film, and that there's a lot of them. I've had a few bad ones, but there are still good experiences. Like when I saw John Wick 3, the whole crowd was cheering and going, yeah, they weren't, bitching, complaining, or doing anything annoying.
Yeah, the John Wick crowd was good because you're getting into like an R-rated violent movie. You know, you're
I don't even know
beginning.
what's the safe thing. I went to the midnight premiere of Freddy versus Jason. I'll be damned if people didn't bring in like their 3 and 4-year-old fucking kids to that movie.
Yeah, they do to horror movies all the time. John Wick, at least, are pretty respectful.
Yeah, and 5 years back, there was literally a Seinfeld moment. I think I saw Fury, and some guy was, texting on a cell phone, and one guy literally got up and went, "You're gonna stop that shit right now." And the guy went, "Oh, okay," because he was a big guy, and everyone cheered.
Chat. Let's see what we got here. Hold on, I gotta bring him up.
Ooh.
Chat. Michael Canule, $9.99 super chat. I'm thoroughly enjoying this surround sound rant with detailed cinema. Hell, examples. All of you rock. Yeah. Well, another thing too is, actually, you know what? I will say that Endgame, they did a good job of preventing spoilers with that Twitter campaign. Don't spoil the Endgame. All the actors saying, "Don't spoil the Endgame." I thought that was pretty clever.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I guess what Tom Holland got shit like recently because he spoiled it. What? How many? 2 or 3 months later, now somebody was going after him a couple days ago.
He does that all the time.
Anybody who wants to see Endgame has by now.
I was gonna say it's been out long enough by now that
I know. That's why I'm like, if it's like 2 months out or a month later, then and you haven't seen it yet, I'm sorry if I don't give you a spoiler warning.
in some instances, I understand, but
one of the other things too is that, like I said, everything's so front loaded, and you were talking about getting a babysitter. You know, my parents raised 5 boys. Okay, yeah, there were things they had to sacrifice. Going to the movies was one of them.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they went to the movies for 15 years, and when they did, they left us with somebody that they could trust.
I bet you got stuck watching whatever movie was when it come on TV until video came out, and then I'm sure video rental night was pretty popular in your house.
No, there was no video rental night. Back in the 70s, there was no video rentals.
Finally got to the 80s, though. You guys didn't get a VCR.
80s and 90s, we had VCRs, yeah, but pretty much we took care of that.
By then you had already been a teenager, yeah.
Yeah, my brother usually would run up my my late charges at whatever video store there was.
Yeah, what was the most checked out movie? Debbie Does Dallas.
No, I think it was what was it?
Star Wars.
Deep Throat.
You forget how hard it was to get porn back then.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. You had to like find a certain little mom and pop place that has a certain little back room. So
or have an older cousin or
mm-hmm. No, you'd rent like the 5 or 6 like big movies that were at every video store.
Mm-hmm. You just didn't do the Disney sandwich though. That was the thing.
The Disney. But yeah, let's wrap this. We can move on to a similar story that kind of has to do with what we're getting at here. And part of the reason people don't want to fucking go to the movies, they don't want to go see crap. They've been burnt too many times by so many overblown movies that the trailers lie to them. Mm-hmm. And even Marvel movies included. I mean, I've felt a lot of kickback on, Endgame. Not a ton, but a little kickback. And I don't think any of that has anything to do with Captain Marvel. I think it has to genuinely. I knew this was going to be a controversial movie because it had a lot to live up to for me. I have yet to see it again to see if it still holds up. So, there's certain people that have not liked it at all. So,
also popularity. Like all the movies that have made more than $2 billion, there's a massive audience that are like, it's overrated. Didn't deserve that.
Well, you'll get that. Yes.
We give it a lot of wiggle room because we recognize that it had to wrap up, 11 years worth of a franchise, right? So a lot of people are very forgiving of the fact that the movie itself, while not lackluster, it was certainly crammed and loaded full of stuff, and it could have flowed a little bit better in places, and some things done a little bit better. But we give it a lot of wiggle room because we recognize that what it had to do, its job, was incredibly monumental, and it did achieve it impressively, even considering what it had to do. But it had a job to do, and it was a big job, and it was a big task, and it succeeded, but it wasn't a perfect movie.
It's like Return of the King. A lot of people give it shit for, having 5 endings, but most people are okay with it because of how big the trilogy was.
Well, I was just going to say, people didn't give The Hobbit the same pass they did
the
Rings trilogy because, like Endgame, the Lord of the Rings trilogy had done something that nobody had ever done before. Endgame has done something now that nobody has ever done before. Now, what won't live up to it is 10, 15 years from now when they have the next, whatever the Avengers thing is that they lead up to from here on out, and is it going to live up to this hype? Oh, hell no.
Yeah, Avengers 25, the return of Loki once again.
Well, just think about it for 2 seconds. Aren't you exhausted? I mean, aren't you
Yes.
exhausted after 11 years?
Kind of.
Building up to this, it was an exhausting ordeal. And of course, it was a ride that I'd happily, I was happy I took, but I don't know that I want to get on this ride again. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I want to do something new.
Mm-hmm.
There aren't any middle of the road movies really anymore either. That was one other point I wanted to bring up. And that's
I've been saying that for a while now. Everything has to be a huge blockbuster.
And what little road of the moon little road of the moon middle of the road movies we do have, which you could even throw like Child's Play in there, don't perform when you have situations like that. Well, they were stupid to put it up against Toy Story. That was one thing.
It thought it'd be counter programming, but instead no one saw it. This one saw Toy Story.
Well, there's times where counter programming works, and then there's times where you're better off not even trying. And one of those times is going up against a Toy Story movie, for fuck's sake. Because what did we say, Mecca? Like months before this, we're like, every parent and the parents are going to want to go see Toy Story 4 more than the kids are. So. Exactly.
Yeah, there's more parents who grew up with Toy Story, because when was the last one? Like more than a decade ago, right? I want to say
2010.
Yeah.
2010.
Yeah. So no 8-year-old
knows
might, or if they grew up with it on DVD or something. If then.
Right. And Child's Play should have been released either 3 months ago or 3 months from now, like Christian Garcia says in October.
Yeah.
Even the problem is like the previous movies were direct to video, so was the fan base even big enough to actually sustain it? And actually the fact that pissed off the fan base.
No.
The problem is a large part of what you would have for a fan base doesn't even know that the series is still ongoing.
Yeah, dude didn't want to see it because this is the bullshit remake.
Yeah, and now that this remake's out there, a lot of people and remakes just turn people off in general. I mean, the last thing most people want to see is a fucking remake. They're like, I'll just go watch the original.
Well, yeah, one of the reviews I was watching was saying that it's different enough. It didn't even have to be Child's Play. It's like they could have just made it its own thing.
Yeah, because it was based on the original script. Yeah. But speaking of not having to wait so long for movies, let's move into our next story. We've went on and on and on about this. Hellboy is coming back, or is coming to Amazon quicker than anybody anticipated. Isn't that right, Rob?
Hi.
The new Hellboy movie.
Yes, it is.
It should have been straight to Amazon to begin with, right?
Probably.
Would have done better.
Okay, well, Hellboy remake gets dumped on Amazon Prime Video a mere 3 months after its theatrical debut. One of 2019's biggest film failures, critically, financially, and speculatively, is most definitely Hellboy, the Neil Marshall-directed reboot of the popular comic book series, as well as the film series from Guillermo del Toro, was dead on arrival when it was released in April. The film was savaged by critics and became the subject of post-release headlines due to its apparent troubled production. And now, adding further insult to injury, Lionsgate is so down on the film. Lionsgate's like they don't do anything. They can't throw them into the ocean. The studio is unceremoniously dumping it on streaming the same day as its Blu-ray release. According to recent July listings released by Amazon via the TV Insider, the recent Hellboy film is set to be available for Prime members to stream for free on July 23rd, which is the same date that the film will finally be sold on Blu-ray and DVD. This is incredibly odd for a number of reasons. And what are those reasons?
Because it makes people not want to buy it.
Because Amazon Prime is for free.
Mm-hmm.
And this has got to be the first time a major Hollywood movie has ever done this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they give reasons. First, films like Hellboy, big budget films with wide theatrical release, don't normally arrive on streaming services until about 90 days after the Blu-ray release. In fact, this could come a full year after the film hits theaters. But in the case of a superhero horror film, it will arrive on Prime Video a mere 102 days after it was released in theaters. We're talking the speed of going from theaters to streaming, like we've seen with films like Roma. I didn't see Roma.
That was on Netflix.
Okay. And that film only hit theaters for just for awards consideration. Second, perhaps a more perplexing, is the financial standpoint. Hellboy isn't going to be available on video for demand to rent and buy until July 9th, meaning that people who are not paying attention to these sorts of things will pay money to stream the film when they could have waited 2 weeks to get it for the price of a Prime membership. That means there's no real incentive for people to pay money to stream the film. Why not wait another 2 weeks? Yeah, why not wait another 2 weeks? In addition, why would anyone even bother with the film on 4K, Blu-ray, and DVD? Are the special features that important? Let's be real. 99% of the people, everyone that isn't a diehard Hellboy fan, it says Hellboy Stan. It literally says Hellboy Stan, not diehard Hellboy Stan. Proofread your shit, the playlist. just wants to watch the film and don't need the disc. Bad grammar. Oh, God. It's amateur hour. It really is. It's amateur hour.
And they wonder why media is dying.
So it appears the final nail in the coffin for Hellboy reboot is set. The film is now doomed for a streaming release when only 3 months ago people were talking about a potential new franchise. Oof. Proofread your shit, the playlist.
And no, we weren't talking about a new franchise. We really weren't.
No, we weren't. No. We weren't. We really weren't.
I mean, they can think that, but seriously, who wanted this? Nobody wanted this. Nobody cares about this.
Fuck them. Fuck those people.
Yep.
I have a barely an interest in Hellboy.
I never saw them in the 90s because I didn't like 90s stuff, right?
I remember seeing the film and like the original Hellboy or whatever, and I was good with it. I was young at the time, so I was good with it, but I had no interest in a new one whatsoever. I just don't know if you're going to do something like this, right? If you're going to do something that nobody asked for, you need to knock it out of the park. You need to make sure that what you're doing is so good and so unexpected that the word of mouth that people will spread from person to person. Oh my God, did you catch this? That's a guaranteed, right? You need to be so confident in this product because at this point, everybody knows about everything that everybody's doing all the time, right? We have way big heads up. We always know what's coming down the pipe, right? And we will let you know if we're interested in it or not. Test the waters. And if we're not interested in it, then you need to be so damn sure of what it is that you're putting out there, despite the fact that people aren't interested in it, that you just know it's going to knock our socks off. Otherwise, why are you wasting your money and our time?
It's a cash grab. The people who made it made their money off of it. They got paid. They got a paycheck.
I would say it was probably more, yeah, that's pretty much, I mean, I'm not saying there weren't probably some people that weren't legitimately, had the right.
I don't doubt there are people
in the right place.
Movie.
Yeah, but again, Lionsgate didn't care. You had a producer who overstepped his bounds. You had a bunch of other shit happen. I'm sure there'll be a Midnight's Edge video in this somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure.
All the advanced advertising and all the advanced material try to make it look like Deadpool. They try to make it look like Deadpool.
Right. And the biggest elephant in the room is that everybody wanted a Hellboy 3. And even if Guillermo del Toro wasn't necessarily involved, the least they wanted was Ron Perlman and the, most of their cast back and stuff like that. I mean, that was the very least that they asked for. They didn't want this. They didn't care if it was R-rated. That wasn't the problem, and even the smaller budget, that wasn't even probably the problem because most people who actually saw the movie that I've talked to said it wasn't that bad. But that doesn't make up for the fact that nobody fucking asked for it, just like Men in Black International, just like a lot of the other movies we were just talking about.
Pretty much this is a summer that nobody wanted, really.
No. Even the films that are doing well are movies that no one really asked for.
Well, and even films that are quote unquote doing well, they're projecting that they're going to do so much better than they even do, right? Like they thought that there was a potential for Toy Story to hit, not like 170 million, 200 million range for the opening weekend, and it didn't even crack 140.
Right, and I wanted to say something about that earlier, and I totally spaced it out. But the thing with that is this is Toy Story 4. It's not like it's Toy Story 2. it'd be different if we'd been waiting 20 years for another Toy Story movie like we had been for The Incredibles.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? The fact that the Toy Story 4, after the logical ending of part 3 10 years ago, is still decent, good, and made $140 million is a big deal in and of itself.
Sure. And congratulations, but why on earth would any projections hit so insane and bizarrely off the charts like that? Like, what do you think?
That's nothing new. We've been seeing that all for the last couple of years, actually. That's something we've talked about a lot, is that the projections have been way off lately. I mean, how often are we saying that, Rob, that the projections were like, not just, 10, 20 million off, but 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 million off sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a gap between what they're predicting and reality.
I think they're going way too much by that parent analytics crap that we know isn't helpful. Like, how many people are saying, "Oh yes,
bullshit."
Yeah,
it just tells whoever you want to hear.
Yeah, hashtag Hellboy is unneeded and unnecessary. Oh, look, it's trending. That means it's going to do well. No, it doesn't. That means people are saying we don't want it and we're not going to go see it. But we're hashtagging it and we're talking about it.
One of my first big videos I had before coming on to Midnight's Edge and this channel turning on into Midnight's Edge After Dark was a rant about how I don't want to see a Hellboy remake. I want to see, Hellboy 3. And this was from way back when, because this movie has been, in the pipeline for a while. This is, I don't care. I guess I'll watch it because I got Amazon Prime and it'll be free. Now that doesn't mean I wouldn't have bought it if I liked the movie. I probably will buy it. But I'm one of that rare 1%. I'm somebody who appreciates and wants to have a physical copy because I don't know when they're going to shut other shit off or lose their license or whatever.
What should we know about Toy Story? That despite it underperforming from like 170 million to I think it was about 120 million it made, it still had the biggest opening weekend worldwide for any animated film in history.
I thought it was number 3. But...
No, it made 244.5 million this opening weekend. Toy Story original 3 was actually like number 9 on that list.
Does Avatar count as an animated
film? No, because there are live action bits in there.
Because I kind of count that as like, if it's like 90% CGI, I kind of count it. I almost even count Endgame as animated. And some there's so much. Like Captain Marvel's suit is animated.
If you want something that's animated, that's CGI, the upcoming Lion King remake's 100% CGI. That is an animated film.
I don't want animated. I don't want Lion King. I don't want the original either.
So yeah, basically,
Fox on you.
You don't have to wait that long to see Hellboy if you didn't get to see it already.
Or Heck, was it North Carolina? Are the ones that called it Heck Boy? I think.
Who cares?
Just call it that. What matters? That's what it is.
Let's just get to the other big story here, because this was something that I was watching as it was going down. I don't get a chance to watch many YouTubers, but
I saw your comments on there too.
I actually commented on the tweets too. Yeah.
Oh wait, is this the one I'm talking?
We're gonna jump to this one right now. I will say those since they're shorter stories. Ethan Van Sciver.
I was watching a little of this too last night.
Got into it I don't know if you call it got into it, but here's the thing. I think he's onto something here, and I kind of had a similar thought.
Hold on, wait. Where's the? I need to. Hold on. Got some audio effects here. I just want to. Where's? Damn it! That's the wrong bell. I need a. I need a boxing bell. Ding, 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 ding.
Well, I got my Ryan Johnson whacking stick. So.
Okay.
But yeah. So basically, it started with a tweet, and you're gonna read it here, but it was just so funny. Because I think Ethan's onto something here with the whole, Michelle Rejwan and I brought up the same thing. She was JJ's assistant. We heard the same damn rumor that Grace Randolph heard about the meeting, the big old meeting where Miss Kathleen Kennedy was dressed down. And basically it was said that if it wasn't for the fact that nobody wants the fucking job, she'd be fired. And that's why she got her little piddly 3-year extension. And basically everybody's under the assumption, like EBS and myself, that JJ supplanted this Michelle Rejwan in there because she was his former assistant. You know, she's deep in with Bad Robot. She's going to be a good plant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's going to take care of business. So he thought, yeah, like we said, and Rob said in his rant, yeah, maybe Kathleen Kennedy picked her because she saw something in her that was like a clone of herself, but highly unlikely. I think JJ's behind it all. JJ's behind it all.
Well, I think she trusts JJ, and she, you know, I'm pretty sure that, hey, you know, she took a look around. Oh well, yeah, she trusts JJ. Somebody may have asked JJ. Says, "Oh yeah, Michelle will do a good job." Okay,
I
yeah.
don't think she had anything to do with it, to be
JJ
honest.
trusts you. Yeah,
that's my opinion. That leads to this part, though. I think Ryan's losing it. I think Ryan is gone. I think Ryan is fired. I think, and this is why I think Kathy had nothing to do with Michelle. And if JJ's first thing to do, if he was like quasi in control, what do you think that would be? Get rid of the guy who fucked up his trilogy.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree. I do. I tend to agree. Well, because they offered it to him in the first place, right? Like they wanted to give it.
Rumor, yes.
And so for him to sort of have his fingers in a bunch of pies, which is not an unintelligent thing to do, especially in Hollywood, is a smart thing to do. So it leaves him wide open to go do what he wants to do with his own stuff, but still have a person there at Disney and make sure that he sort of gets what he wants out of it, right? I think it's a brilliant strategical move on his end.
What the hell?
So Rob, you got this story up here.
Yes, I do.
let's put everybody up to date with what's really going on before we discuss it too much more.
Okay. All right. Okay. Comes to us from Cosmic Book News. Rian Johnson versus Ethan Van Sciver. Twitter explodes over Star Wars. Things are getting ugly on Twitter as Star Wars: The Last Jedi director Rian Roundhead Johnson is again tweeting snarky comments, which also includes tweets directed at former DC Comics and comic book artist Ethan Van Sciver. If you recall, back when Disney first fired James Gunn, Rian Roundhead Johnson proceeded to delete more than 20,000 of his own tweets. But now, Johnson is back on Twitter with his questionable comments. Does that mean Rian Roundhead Johnson is no longer with Disney? And that his Star Wars trilogy has been canceled? It is thought Disney has a social media policy about its creators harassing fans and posting questionable tweets, but Johnson seems to no longer care about that code of conduct. Could be. The latest sees Rian Roundhead Johnson, who wasn't tagged in the post, supporting Twitter user Matt Zoller Sites, who mentions how he was going to harass other fans about not liking Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Feeling a bit cranky today, so I'm going into threads where people unnecessarily talk shit about The Last Jedi and letting them know that I think it's a classic that only gains from repeat viewings. Oh God. Well, actually, I kind of
this writes itself.
So dang, yeah. Anyways, Twitter user Matt Stoller Sites tweeted, who claims to be a TV film critic and editor of RogerEbert.com. Rian Roundhead Johnson tweeted back his support. I love you. That's just creepy. That is just creepy.
Nobody wants to hear that.
You.
Anyway, Star Wars: Last Jedi didn't get repeat viewings. Ethan Van Sciver, who is known for voicing his dissent for Disney and Rian Roundhead Johnson's SJW approach to Star Wars. And I would just say it's a bad approach, not just SJW, it's a bad approach to the Star Wars: Last Jedi, pointed out that the film actually didn't get many repeat viewings, something I have pointed out myself, which is one of the reasons why its box office failed to live up to J.J. Abrams' Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Most films do gain from repeat viewings. The Last Jedi didn't get repeat viewings. It declined at the box office.
Hey, one of my tweets made this story. Sorry.
Mine?
No, mine.
Yeah, I did. I told you I saw you in there.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought you meant you just saw it on Twitter.
Yeah, on the thread.
Venom Sadie. Anyways.
He's famous now.
Because average film goers found it cynical and warped. They're correct. Defending a guns blazing mentality is mentally ill. Ethan Van Sciver tweeted, true to Van Sciver's words, The Last Jedi's box office declined so much that Dwayne Johnson's Jumanji reboot actually performed better in the long run. I gotta make it sound Jumanji.
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, we haven't had the Jumanji sound since we went back to live, have we?
No, I'll work on that. Pretty much the same as the Shazam sound, but let me just play the Shazam sound just for good measure.
Just pretend he's saying Jumanji.
Yeah. So Ethan Van Sciver also points out that his 8-year-old didn't like the movie. Note, following Star Wars: The Last Jedi, it is known merchandise sales tanked, which I have pointed out many times, and Disney's consumer products division continues to be the only division at Disney that makes less and less money. Surely you must have better talking points than this movie aimed primarily at selling action figures to children is more profoundly amazeballs with repeated viewings. I'll tell you that my 8-year-old, I'll tell that to my 8-year-old. People hated the movie, Van Sciver tweeted. Matt Zoller Sites user then gets really nasty with Ethan Van Sciver, mentioning, I wonder if they can help get your mom off of me. Oh.
Isn't that pathetic? That's
Yes.
what they all resort to.
Yeah, that's the one that I replied to. Oh, that sounds like a preschooler. That explains The Last Jedi.
Well, he really is
Vance-
Cartman.
Well, there's more to this. Van Sciver didn't like that at all and responded, go back to Ryan Roundhead Johnson and report that you got bitch smacked by a bunch of YouTubers.
Yay!
Mm.
Hey. Ryan Johnson tweets at Ethan Van Sciver. Matt Zoller Sites responded, wow, Ethan, I didn't know your story until some comic fans told me about it. You gave up art for grifting. That's tragic. Why did you do it? What an incredible comic that would make. Note, Ethan Van Sciver is actually publishing his own creator-owned comic books, then has raised up to $2 million, I believe the most ever for crowdfunded comics. Ironically, Matt Zoller Sites is also trying to crowd raise funds for a book, but has only reached 16% of his goal.
Let's not forget he was also derailed because of his political affiliation. That was pretty much it.
Yes. Well, anyway, it continues. Ryan Roundhead Johnson got wind of Matt Zoller Sites' tweet and responded to Ethan Van Sciver. Now, you have to read this. Tom, you got to read it in your Ryan Johnson voice.
Which part? I closed it. I can't do nothing. I can do something right, but yeah. Ethan, I can hear you. Did you say something? Oh yeah, Ethan, I can hear you.
Okay, now in a way we can understand it.
Don't make me smack you, Ryan Johnson.
I can hear you.
When you know that Ryan retweeted this.
You're nothing but bunch of bullies. My mama said you're nothing but bullies.
Wow.
Well, my mama said you made a bad Star Wars movie.
God damn it.
Well, anyway, okay.
Yeah,
Ethan Van Sciver tweeted back. There he is. Yeah, I said it's good to find out what it is you actually do love in place of Star Wars. Critics like Matt Zoller Sites who brag about bullying the fans for you while telling them he's fucking their mothers. Come get your boy. Oh, I love
The amount of jokes I could say with this.
Right? Don't even bring up your aunt. Yeah, this is just ridiculous. And I'll be the first to say I don't agree with most of what EVS says politically, but he did not deserve to be put in the position he did. So just for Ryan to go after that kind of shit and just to be the way he is just so fucking
Childish.
Oh, he is. He's just showing it. I think EVS is right. I think he's fallen apart. I think he lost his fucking trilogy.
Well, and he's lost his grip on reality at this
That too. He's like sitting there like the president.
He never had it.
Yeah, did he ever have it? I mean, he's the only person that's ever mentioned the damn trilogy is Ryan Johnson.
Exactly.
Always.
And Kathy.
Kennedy.
Yeah, but they're probably banging anyway. Allegedly.
You saw that schedule. It's like 10 years after, like, you know, the next trilogy. I'm like, no, it's not going to be Ryan. They're not going to wait so many years for him to
He's
do
sitting
his
on the
movie.
toilet tweeting. You know it.
Orion.
He's Trump.
Orion.
I gotta give EVS props for how he handled that, man. He was a total savage. He was like, "Come at your boy." It's just like, oh man, I'm just so proud of him, man. He doesn't take anybody's shit, and I just love him for it. But like Ryan Johnson, he's just like, "Get out of here." Oh, that's what I think.
I got something for. Well, we all got something for Ryan. There you go. Don't know your place, know your role, and shut your hole.
Kathy's whipping him.
All right.
She doesn't. I will.
Yes,
Would you,
Kennedy?
all right. Would you come here a moment? I have something for you.
Yes, Miss Kennedy.
Now bend over.
Do I still get my trilogy?
Oh, you'll get your trilogy, all right.
Put you in the position.
Oh, look, it's Auntie Mona. Oh, Auntie Mona's here too.
You'll like it.
Boy.
Get her done.
So yeah, this is just Ryan coming undone. Come on.
Definitely coming.
Oh, phrasing
it.
Yeah. So
phrasing.
Guys, think in the chat. Let's get some reactions. Mecca, you've been quiet about this, so.
Well, here's the thing. I think Rian Johnson is well. There was one little part in there where he's like, "I can't hear you, Ethan." So I think he's got him muted because I did watch Ethan's video about this, and I think
that was the most childish fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. Really.
Yeah. Oh, he's such a child. Like Rian Johnson is such a child, and he should not be getting into it. He shouldn't be in there, talking and debating and engaging people about The Last Jedi, other than I'm sorry you didn't like it, and move on, and that's it. And just you don't need to engage people who didn't like it. It's what 2 years later, almost a year and a half later. Move on. Go make some other movie. Oh wait, you probably can't because you were probably fired. Because here's the thing, that Michelle Rejwan's coming in. What the hell does she need Rian Johnson's trilogy for?
Nope, she don't need it at all.
Because like his deal was with Kathy, and Kathy doesn't care. Kathy's off heading up the AFI or whatever now.
Yeah.
Well,
it's failing.
All AFI does is compile lists. That's really all they do.
Which is fine. It's probably more suited to her.
It's a retirement home for movie people to make them feel important.
Is it run by Francis Ford Coppola?
Probably.
Free wine for everybody.
Well, Roundhead's next movie is supposedly called Knives Out. And
yeah, that's
so it's a movie about fans.
Has that been pushed back or not?
I don't remember. I think it just started filming not that long. We covered it a little bit. I don't even remember anymore because I don't really give two shits and fuck. That's the big thing. The other thing here is that I just don't care. And Rian Johnson can suck a dick in hell because I've had enough of him. Dude, you guys are right. It's been over 2 years. We are the ones who get accused of not letting this shit go. When was the last time we did a video about Rian Johnson? The last time he opened his stupid goddamn mouth, that's when.
Yep, same thing with Brie Larson. Those are the only times I make videos about these people is when they do something to attack people.
You know who can't get over the controversies of Star Wars and Ghostbusters? The guys that directed Star Wars and Ghostbusters.
Right?
This is why we have Tyler on. Once in a great while, he'll throw out some nuggets out there that have nothing to do with his aunt. But anyway. Oh, God.
Who can forget those words of wisdom?
Effective look like Disney doesn't allow their people on their payroll to behave like this towards their fan bases, right? Like they don't want you out there insulting their fan base. They don't want you out there getting into this garbage. So why is Rian Johnson, if he's still on payroll, doing this kind of stuff? It doesn't make any sense. I don't think he's on payroll anymore. I don't think he's got anything going on. I think he knows it. I think he is absolutely aware that he's even if they haven't said it in so many words, he sees the writing on the wall, and so he has nothing left to lose.
But why haven't they announced though? Why haven't they announced yet that his trilogy is canceled? I mean, if it's canceled, come out and say it's canceled.
Because that would give us a win. That would give us a win. They don't want us to gloat. They don't want us to be proven right.
They can't admit that he was pushed aside.
Yeah.
Because if they admit that, then yeah, they admit that we're right. They'll go through a bunch of hoops to say, oh no, so and so, yeah, they're running the show, but that doesn't mean that Kurtzman's been demoted or fired or anything like that. He's been promoted, if anything. It's like, yeah, promoted out of a job.
Yeah.
He's not doing anything.
This is pretty much like I remember how same thing. So it's the same thing as Kiri Hart. She's
and now Kathleen Kennedy's getting pushed out by Michelle Redjwan.
Mm-hmm. She's still on board as a special consultant. You know, she's a nice no-show job or that. You know, or you're
between the lines, the fucking story said it right to her face. She's ahead of everything live action Star Wars. So unless it's animated, she ain't got nothing to do with it. Guess who's in charge of animated Star Wars? I bet.
Take Filoni. Filoni.
That's right. I bet you $5.
Likewise,
anyway.
Like what I said in my rant, he goes, she's head of all things live action Star Wars. Hey Kathy, me in the back. Yeah, wasn't that your job?
Exactly. It's like everybody's like, oh no, Kathy hasn't been fired. She's been all but fired, just like Kurtzman's been all but fired. Don't you guys get it? This is just movie talk. We got a contract. We still got to pay you. You're going to go out there and you're going to do the press thing and you're going to play happy and nice, just like everybody says. It's a game. It's a fucking game they're playing with us. Only fan do they actually come out and tell the truth, like the Men in Black thing.
Well, yeah, and then these stupid people get on Twitter and they're like, oh, rumor mills. And I'm like, you're only saying that because you didn't watch the videos. B, you were paid to do so. You were sitting there paid. You're a Twitter marketer. And, you know, TM, copyright, Mecha 42. You're a Twitter marketer. You are like a telemarketer. You are one of these paid trolls. Or sometimes you're not even paid to do it. You do it because you're so stupid. You do that and you argue these talking points that nobody cares about. And you come off desperately marketing these things that nobody wants, saying, oh yes, you're just rumor mills, you're just spreading rumors, you're just gossiping, you're whatever. You're the ones finding us. You're the one obsessed with us. If we weren't onto something, why? Well, A, I didn't say that, and B, why are you so adamant of trying to shut us up? It's like that freaking Captain Marvel thing that Rob sent me a couple of days ago with the, you know, they're like, oh, see, the cast loves Brie Larson. The cast loves Brie Larson. See, look how likable she is. Usually, if you're likable,
really a thing, they wouldn't go out there and make a big deal out of it. You're right. Sorry.
Right. If you're likable, if your movie's good, you don't have to tell people that. You know, you don't have to try and convince. The same thing with Michael Burnham. Same thing with everything. Oh no, these characters are good. See, these are good. You're just a troll. You're just toxic. You're just this. You're just that. It's like, no, these characters are just not good, and you're not good at your job, and you're only good at like this chicanery, basically, of putting out this false message that your stuff is good and that we're wrong.
This is why we need your brother Dave. This times like this, Rob. He needs to walk up to some of these people and be like, how much was your soul worth?
He's gonna go with Kathleen Kennedy. Hey Kathy, let me ask you, how much money do you think went down the drain with Star Wars?
I would pay him to do that.
Episodes to get that joke.
As much as I complain about my brother Dave, I mean, he really, and that's kind of where I get my fearlessness from. Is Dave? He just doesn't care. He doesn't care, and I will pretty much. I kind of would like to think I got that from him. And my father was the same way. My father went up to the mayor of my town and said, "Come on, you build a new schools. These kids are still stupid."
That's pretty much like every Italian, like old Italian.
I got 5 of the dumb motherfuckers.
Yeah, he said to the mayor of my town, "You're still here? Come on." The Alpha J, no, my brother Dave doesn't. My brother Dave doesn't know anything about pop culture or anything. He still talks about
so deplatformed so fast. You don't understand.
Oh, God.
He's still talking. Yeah, go ahead. It's your brother.
Yeah, well, he still talks about Uncle Tanous. If you don't know that name, Danny Thomas used to have a show called Make Room for Daddy, and Uncle Tanous was his Hungarian uncle, you know, immigrant uncle that was just kind of didn't know anything. Like, it's a very played by a guy named Hans Conried. To him, that is what pop culture is. And I'm like, yeah, you know, Dave. And I reenacted the scene from Chasing Amy. Here's the pulse of pop culture, and here's your finger way off the pulse.
Oh shit! So Mary, you got to go here soon. So any final thoughts on this whole bunch of shenanigans to plug your show?
I mean, so I did put up a video earlier today on this nonsense with the whole summer slump. I feel like, and I took mine in a different direction. Obviously, I feel like it's I think that we're looking down the barrel of a terrible future for Disney in terms of them buying everything up and putting nonsense out. And like, I haven't seen Toy Story 4 for myself, but I will say that you can't just keep handing and packaging the same thing and handing it to us and expect us to keep going back to the same trough with the same slimy water every time after time, and expect us to keep doing it. It's a dead end road for Disney. And I think that at the end of the day, they'll wind up eating themselves. And so insofar as the man Sciver, Rian Johnson stuff, it's like the last shrieking kicks of someone who's slowly dying, right? Like it's this last little bit of a fight that he has to put up, and it's him trying to go up against someone, like trying to go up against the Godfather here. You're talking about EBS, man. What do you want about? So, like, of course he's going to hand you your butt on a silver platter. And I don't know, you shouldn't have engaged him in the first place, you crazy. What are you thinking? So
Poor little rickless bastards.
I'm just so highly amused by all of it. And I'm proud of Uncle Ethan for handing him his butt. He was very amusing.
He tried to be smart, but he subverted expectations. That's what Ryan did.
Oh, that's what he did.
I stand with Uncle Ethan.
Let's just hope that Ryan Cartman and EBS isn't Scott Tenorman. Let's just hope that much.
Oh, great t-shirt idea. I stand with Ethan.
Yeah.
Well, instead of I stand with her, I stand with Uncle Ethan. And I will proudly support that with all of my feminine glory.
I kind of want a Geeks and Gamers tank top to wear to Vegas too, along with the Disco Sucks ones.
You named the show, you call the show Disco. You people don't remember the 70s, do you?
It was a no-win scenario for them. They should have just called the show Mikey Burnham and got it over with.
MVD.
Mikey Burnham is the best ever.
STD, you win. Disco sucks, win. Okay, what do we do here? Change the fucking name of the shows, Einstein. Duh.
and they
Star Trek Family, because that's all it's about, is like the family members, and Star Trek Cash Grab.
And then they went and named another show Star Trek Destiny. I'm like, you don't get it, do you?
The official name is just Star Trek Picard. Like,
we give up. That's like throwing your hands up in the air. We give up.
It's like when the Solo movie was just called Solo. Who tried?
No one. It's all marketing. That's all this is, and that's kind of where I touched on my video. I'll put that up probably tomorrow.
The freaking show would have been better off if it was called Disco Fuck Yourself.
We're in product placement.
So we all stand with Ethan on this, obviously. So let us know. Yeah, we stand with Ethan on this. So yeah, let's move on to the next story.
What is the next story? After that much fun,
did you want to let Mary go?
Mary, yes.
Oh yeah, Mary has to go.
Yeah.
Mary, do you want to tell me about your channel, Mary?
Well, hi guys, I am Mary B. I am the mistress of mayhem, disruptor of the narrative, and official Wham card holder. You can find me over on my channel, Mary Mayhem, which I will plug back into the chat here in just a second. We do a lot of fun stuff over on my channel. On top of the newsy news stuff during the week, you can also catch shenanigans on the weekend, as well as karaoke on Saturday nights. So it's a lot of fun, and sometimes we get a little bit worn out from all the crazy going on in this world, and it's good to just have a breath, take a step back, and remember there are good things too. So yeah, come over, check me out on my channel, and I hope to see you guys over there. We have a lot of fun. You can catch Midnight's Edge over there from time to time, as well as the beautiful Mecha Mayhem. I'm already trying to give you my last name.
Right? Is that marriage proposal?
I'm already trying to give you my last name. Mecca. Mecca Random from time
just
to time.
Kiss, damn it.
I know we haven't.
She's marrying you, but she's gonna steal my guitar. Yeah, go figure.
Oh, you know I wouldn't do that to you.
Sure you would.
So yeah. But yeah, hey, feel free to come on by.
Phrasing.
Giggity.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I gotta scoot, guys. I love you. Thanks.
Take care, Mary.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
All right. Let's try and
I know
rush
you have
through.
a choice in airport sex, and I appreciate your choosing Quagmire.
Let's try and rush through these last couple stories here. What do you
Okay. What have we got left for?
you pick?
We should do Wheel of News.
Right.
All
Wheel
right.
of News.
Okay. There's you want to do the Flash Gordon one?
Sure.
Because that's actually coming before. Phrasing.
Flash.
Not that our audience really is in the Flash Gordon. Let's just run through these really quick, okay? A la Robin Quivers.
Go for it.
On the show. Taika Waititi to credit. Let's try to keep discussion to this. Just a few comments. With Taika Waititi to crack animated Flash Gordon film. Beloved New Zealand filmmaker Taika Waititi, hunt for the Wilder People, Thor Ragnarok, has reportedly signed on to crack, now they're putting in quotation marks, an animated Flash Gordon movie at the Disney-owned 20th Century Fox. Fox has the rights to Flash Gordon film rights?
I guess they do now.
Okay, well, Waititi's aim is to figure out how to bring the pulpy 1930s sci-fi adventure to life on the big screen with modern sensibility. There's rumors he will potentially write and direct, but that's not confirmed or set at this point, and probably won't be for a while. Gordon debuted in 1934 comic strip, an athlete from Earth who gets unwittingly drawn into an interstellar conflict with the evil leadership of the planet Mongo, led by the ruler Ming the Merciless. The property was adapted for the big screen in 1930s as a serial adventure, though many people alive today mostly remember for the iconic and campy as anything in 1980s cult classic film starring Max von Sydow and Sam Jones with a soundtrack by Queen. A short-lived, cheap Canadian TV series remake of the property was also made in the early 2000s. I didn't know that. It was also a Saturday morning cartoon on NBC. I'm filling that piece of information in. Waititi is putting finishing touches on his upcoming World War II satire, Jojo Rabbit, and is prepping to direct the live-action Akira remake, and recently walked away from stop-motion film Bubbles, based on the life of Michael Jackson's chimpanzee. One possibility is Waititi will come up with the story and have potential writing, producing credit of some kind, but will hand the directorial reins over to someone else, i.e. probably what he did with Quentin Tarantino, probably what Quentin Tarantino is doing with Star Trek. His hiring makes sense considering how much of Ragnarok felt very Flash-inspired. Overlord filmmaker Julius Avery was previously attached to a live-action adaptation that was in development. Sources Deadline. Okay, so all right, well, Flash Gordon. Okay.
I'm surprised you didn't at all mention 1974's Flesh Gordon.
You know, now that I think about it, these costumes really do look a lot like the Mirror Universe Discovery stuff. Isn't that what Nitpicking Nerd always says about Discovery? Like the Mirror Universe? Or, the Flash Gordon costumes. Yeah, I could just see, what's her name, Empress Giorgio in that.
Oh, yeah. The ridiculous with the, oh, for God.
You mean Madam Hitler?
Yes, Space Hitler. I always call her Space Hitler because she kind of is. Right.
Let's go on to the next story.
Super chat.
Yeah, super chat. Let's see the super chat. Ka-ching. The DCV Titan $5 Canadian super chat. I remember Flash Gordon more as the source material for Flash Gordon, but whatever. Okay.
That's what I just said. Oh my God, that was Cinemaxy, not like that anymore.
Mm-hmm. All right, next story. We want to do the Chloe Grace Moretz one.
Go for it.
Okay, quick note. 128.34. Chloe Grace Moretz is being now I'm not that familiar with her. Chloe Grace Moretz being eyed to play Catwoman in the Batman. From where I'm sitting, the Batman is shaping up to be a cinematic equivalent of the comic books such as The Long Halloween and Dark Victory. The reason I'm saying this is because all signs point toward Matt Reeves' upcoming blockbuster containing more villains than we're used to seeing in a single film headlined by the Cape Crusader. Briefly, bringing up to speed, it was recently reported that Penguin, Riddler, Catwoman, and Firefly will be there to greet us upon our next trip to Gotham City. In addition to that fearsome foursome, it's worth pointing out how Mad Hatter and Two-Face are also said to be joining the party. Too many villains. For now, though, let's focus on Catwoman, shall we? Needless to say, the hunt for the next Selina Kyle may become as heated as the casting process for the Dark Knight himself. As you know, she's been around for nearly as long and has been played by a variety of wonderful actresses over the years. According to our source, Chloe Grace Moretz is among those being considered for the coveted gig. Though she's accomplished great things since starring in the kick-ass flicks, you'd have to think her prior work in the genre is helping her get her foot in the door. Hey, if she was that badass in her formative years, think of what she could do now. Of course, some folks will bring up her current age, that being 22, and Pattinson may be 33 himself. Sure, but Selina is often portrayed as being in her early to mid 20s in the comics, with Bruce Wayne often being around his late 20s to early 30s. In my opinion, there's enough wiggle room for both talents in that regard. Bruce Wayne, the Batman Arrives in theaters June 25th, 2021. Bruce Wayne's often portrayed more like 35.
Yeah, except for Affleck, who was like, what, 50?
Yeah.
Affleck, 40s. Yeah.
And that is really young for Catwoman, but she is a good actress. She was really good in Hugo back in the day, and Kick-Ass was, I guess, all right. I guess, but I prefer someone older than that, but maybe she could do it.
I prefer someone a little less little girl looking, because that's the problem. I wanna fuck Catwoman. I don't want to look at a little girl as Catwoman, and she still has a very youthful.
Well, that's your problem, not hers.
It's her problem because she still looks like a little girl. I think
she is. She's 22.
Yeah. We got Catwoman, not Cat Teenager.
Well, you would not have liked Gotham because she was mostly like 15 on that show.
No, I didn't want to watch.
I get fliggity hergaflavity with my googus.
Yeah, well, that's, and I keep saying, is it just me, or are all these actresses really, really young looking?
They are.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm surprised they're not going for, because I think I read that Aubrey Plaza wants to play Catwoman, and I forgot how old she is, but she's a bit older than
34.
I'd rather watch her.
Yeah,
she's at least interesting.
And she already kind of actually played that role. If you saw that movie from a couple years back, Ingrid Goes West, there's a scene where she actually is wearing a Catwoman costume, so she already did it once.
Yeah, I like Aubrey Plaza.
Me too.
She's just weird enough, just quirky enough to be interesting, and that's what I like.
Yeah, she could play like a gothy Catwoman take, more like Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah, something a little more sultry. See, that's kind of the problem with these, and like Sean Stripe says in the chat, Chloe Moretz is a lot like Selena Gomez. They may be in their 20s, but they still look like little girls, right? Same thing with like Ariana Grande. Same thing with a lot of these, pop stars, singers, actresses. A lot of these people, they look so young, and you especially if you watch them growing up, you still have that in your head that okay, this is like a girl. This is a little girl.
Yeah, that was the problem everyone had with that one scene in Game of Thrones with Maisie Williams, because it's like, oh, we remember her when she was 12. We don't want to see her naked now. Yeah, it was awkward for most people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before we go on, how do we feel about the last Catwoman that was Anne Hathaway in 2012?
I liked her.
I liked her too. Yeah,
it's all right.
Good.
But Catwoman, it's like you said, it should be Catwoman, not Catgirl.
Is it sad that the two best versions of both Catwoman and Penguin we got from Tim Burton?
No, it's not sad, because Tim Burton really understood how to do it.
Well, he didn't really understand Batman. That's the
that's the problem. I think it was just a shot. It was a fluke. It was definitely a fluke.
But he did, to me, the ideal versions of both. I like the grotesque, deformed Penguin. I love the counter to Bruce Wayne being Gotham's most beloved son, and the Penguin being Gotham's most disgraced. Or how you want it.
So
I just love that whole dynamic.
I like Michelle Pfeiffer quite a bit, but call me old fashioned, but I still kind of like Julie Newmar's take on the old.
Oh yeah, I love the well. That's just the classic versions too. I mean, you can't go wrong there either. But I mean, just that definitive, hard edged. If I wanted to see them leap from the page to the screen, or at least in a cinematic version, and somebody actually taking some liberties and subverting your expectations. Shit, being 12 years old and seeing Batman Returns in the theater and the Penguin the way he was that kicked ass to me, and it still does to me. I don't know why. Maybe I'm partial to that because I seen it when I was a kid. I don't know how well it holds up to people today who are seeing it now for the first time, but I thought Danny DeVito knocked it out.
You're also into leather, don't lie.
I am.
Well, who fucking isn't, right, Mecca?
Okay.
Duh.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, the writing crop has been a nice addition to the channel.
Yeah, and Michelle Pfeiffer is the only person that almost came back as Catwoman again.
I love that version of the costume too.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Legitimately, she would have never got that much leather out of that jacket, but still.
I'm tending to agree with people in the chat. Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah.
I think. But the thing is, Aubrey Plaza has that air about her. She's like I said, she's 34. She still looks on the younger side, but she's first of all, how tall is Aubrey Plaza?
She's not super tall. She's probably like around 5'4".
Let me check.
Okay, well, she's
sultry. She's got she's
5'6". She's 5'6".
Oh, okay.
Okay, she's a little shorter than me, but still, you put her in 6-inch heels, though. I mean, that's because she's not going to be in the Catwoman costume all the time,
right?
And you can picture her cozying up to whomever Bruce Wayne's going. Hopefully, not.
She could be a cat. She could play a cat very easily because she has that sort of personality about her.
The carefree attitude is very cat-like.
Were we really going to bring up that clickbait fucker from who was it? Comicbooknews.com? Is that who did it?
Comicbook.com?
Whoever it was that worded the title of that article to where it sounded like that Pattinson had dropped out of Batman when he had dropped out of another movie so he could do Batman is really
that's terrible.
Yeah, a lot of people got pissy about that. I didn't pay attention to it, but I just did.
Yeah, I'm okay with Plaza because, like I said, she was on Colbert a couple days ago, and she said, "I want to play Catwoman," and she's doing it better than Demi Moore did.
Yeah, I don't like it when actors do that, though. MK Doom,
I know.
1981. Would you be interested in seeing a Legion of Doom in the next Batman movie? We're almost getting that. They've got 6 villains, isn't it, Rob? That they had said is going to be in this.
Something like that. Yeah. But yeah, it's way too many villains. But I was saying about like Aubrey Plaza's Catwoman. She's got this air about her that she would really sell it. That's the thing. She would really sell it. She's quirky. She's confident. She gives off this air of confidence. She's languid. She really, she really seems comfortable with a lot. She'd be comfortable with a lot of things they would ask her to do. It's Catwoman, she would, if as soon as she showed up and she would say meow, that would like, oh yeah, And I don't watch Parks and Rec, but I like Aubrey Plaza. I've just liked her in a lot of things she's done. Yeah. And she's just an interesting person to listen to. If you ever see her on Colbert, or you ever see her on Conan, or on or Jimmy Kimmel, I mean, she's captivating. She really is.
She's on a really good show on FX called Legion, and she can be pretty damn sexy on that show.
Oh yeah, like I said, she's captivating. She's engaging. So listen. I'm not one for fan casting. I'm not one for people lobbying for roles, but this is a case where I think it would work.
She has my approval.
Yeah. This Chloe Grace Moretz, my biggest problem with her is she just seems so young. So many of these girls seem so young. I as somebody my age feel weird seeing a lot of these people as sex symbols because they look so young. And then you have some of these other actresses who are just so like you were saying, like Aubrey Plaza looks like she'd be comfortable doing things. Some of these other actors look so uncomfortable in their own skin. Like they got sticks up their ass when they're doing press tours and stuff, or even in roles. You're like, why are you even here if you can't even act? If you don't like act, pretend you're an actor, pretend like you're enjoying yourself, pretend like you're not annoyed to be here. and that's
what Aubrey Plaza has. Like she's comfortable in her own skin. Okay, let's move on to another story. All right, because we're coming up on an hour 40. Okay, next story. Listen, we'll go through this. Is what else have we got here, Tom? Well, there's talks. Well, we could just talk about this really quick. Marvel's planning on they want to reboot the Inhumans into the MCU.
They've always been saying that. They've been saying that for the last couple of years.
Yeah, well, this goes back 2 weeks. We got anything more interesting than that to talk about?
I thought you had one thing, and Mecca had a Star Trek story. Otherwise, yeah.
Do we have anything? Do you have a Star Trek story?
Well, Jerry Ryan shot down in SJW today.
Oh yeah, talk about that, Mecca.
So it was on Jerry Ryan's Twitter, and I believe this person has since deleted the tweet. But somebody got really offended, and she tweeted at Jerry Ryan. She tagged her in the thing. This person, she says, just started watching Star Trek Voyager, disgusted about what they made Jerry Ryan go through. Her character was awesome, interesting, and shouldn't have been sexualized and objectified. Blah 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 bullshit, right? An overall problem with hashtag Star Trek. It ages horribly. Hashtag feminism. So Jerry Ryan responds with, I understand your point, but that article is actually really inaccurate and very much exaggerates / misconstrues almost every point, except the 20-minute bathroom break thing and the full Borg suit pressing against my carotid artery. Pretty much every other detail is wrong. So she kind of just shut down this girl and... Yeah, but this article is just one more example of how they have to bash old Star Trek to justify new Star Trek. And even this article that they're referring to, it's just one of these slam pieces about about what? They're offended on behalf of somebody else again. And it's just so annoying. It's like, okay, A, she's an actress, B, she's a professional, C, she knew what she was getting out in for. She knew what type of costumes they were going to be. She knew what the role was going to be when she signed on. She kind of has seen Star Trek and knows that pretty much everybody wears cat suits. Some of them just have a little bit more room than others.
Normal women like to feel sexy and look sexy.
I know, we do.
Yes.
Except these new women.
That's my aunt. She loves flaunting that.
Yes, except these new women, they don't want to feel sexy. They just are these ugly, miserable little kids who don't understand that, okay, some women like this. Some women are okay with this. Some women would want to dress up in something sexy, especially if she is the smartest character, like the smartest human ever. Basically, because that was the character. She was the smartest person they had ever encountered because she was infused with the Borg. She was implanted with all these cybernetics. That is an amazing, awesome character. And Claudia Christian also auditioned for the role. Claudia Christian, of course, played Ivanova on Babylon 5. So you had women who really, really wanted this role. It's a great opportunity. It's Star Trek. It was an amazingly written character as well. And 7 of 9 kind of saved Voyager. If they didn't have that Borg arc, I don't think Voyager would have lasted so long.
Several times she saved Voyager.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a movie... I'm sorry, but there was a movie a bunch of years ago with Linda Carter, Wonder Woman, Linda Carter, where she was she played an older woman. She was been married a number of years, and Playboy wanted to feature they do the special issues. They wanted housewives or married women feature, and so she did it. She posed for the magazine, and she was, she did it. She wasn't ashamed. She embraced it. She said, hey, this is a good opportunity for me. And she wanted to feel desirable. She wanted to feel beautiful. She wanted to feel sexy. And I remember there was a scene where she confronted her husband and she holds the magazine in front of with her picture. She says, look at it. And he wouldn't even look at it. She goes, look at it. She goes, look at these pictures. I feel beautiful. I feel sexy. I feel desirable. And I will not apologize for that. And ladies, you shouldn't. You should never apologize for that.
Yeah, that was only one of 2 times Linda Carter was ever naked. The other one was in the extended version of, I think, Apocalypse Now.
Right. Go ahead.
This was a made-for-TV movie.
Mm-hmm. I know of it.
But yeah, what I was saying there is it's like this is what the feminism movement 455 throughout history. It happens every 40 years or so, 20 years, 30 years. Women stand up and say, hey, we want some more rights, and they generally get them. I remember this latest movement started in the mid 90s. It started out okay. Then it was at least find the beauty in yourself, find yourself attractive, and then you'll find somebody who finds you attractive. You're sexy. Don't let anybody else tell you anything else.
And that's a great message.
Yeah, it started out that way. Mm-hmm. Now, instead of it being, it being, anybody can be beautiful, anybody can be sexy. It's don't look at me like that.
Nobody can be sexy.
From my perspective, isn't feminism always been like two camps, which is the one don't objectify women, the other one is women can be sexy, accept it. Those two have always kind of been dueling since the 70s.
Well, there's that problem, and that's kind of what I was going to get to. Is like, the last movement before this was it was the sexual revolution, and it seemed to be going on this proper trail where it was like, okay, the sexual revolution happened, women got more rights, getting more rights in the workplace, a lot of this Me Too shit. Guess what? It happened in the 80s and 90s in most other businesses. And almost every other place except for big business in Hollywood is like the only two places that kind of thing didn't go away. So it's really just come to a point where all of a sudden now it's like you can't think about sex when you think about anything. And they just did a study. People are having less sex, and it's mainly because they're afraid to ask women out. That is the big thing. In the last few years, there's been this huge decline in sexual activity among the highest, age groups as far as sexual activity goes because of this shit. It's got a negative reaction.
People are having less sex. Quick, call Aunt Mona. We need to fix this.
No, believe me, she's doing her part.
So yeah, what the problems are going to be, what it's going to cause, and not to get all political and bullshit, but it's leaking into our entertainment, and that's why it's important.
Well, look at who we have as movie stars. We have people who are not all that pretty for the most part, and when they are, they kill them off and make way and make the new ones more important. For every cute girl like ScarJo out there, we get 20 Brie Larsons coming in to take her place.
I don't think Brie Larson's ugly.
No, she's not ugly, but she's a gigantic turnoff.
Yeah, there's the thing, your personality is a turnoff here.
Right.
Exactly. That's the biggest thing.
Look, Aubrey Plaza, sexy. Brie Larson, not sexy.
Could be.
Boner killer.
But it's her attitude. It's her attitude mainly, and the fact that she can't, treat others like she should, and she comes off like she's so high and mighty when she's really discriminating more than those she's acting like are discriminating against her.
Oh yeah, I'm just gonna break it down as simple as possible. On one hand, you got the Gloria Steinem people, and then you got the Dr. Ruth people. That's pretty much about it.
I used to like Dr. Ruth.
I like Dr. Ruth. She's really cool.
Yeah, she's funny.
Dr. Ruth's a trip. You take the man's penis and you put it in and you roll it around, and she treated like sex like it was a cooking show.
It's fun.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's exactly.
Didn't I hear something recently that they're doing a Dr. Ruth movie?
No, they are.
How they going to do that now?
Well, because in her youth, she actually escaped a concentration camp.
Well, I get that, but I mean, you can't not do the other part of her life too, and they're never going to get away with that now because she was one of those who was so free to talk about it. And
oh yeah, well, Dr. Ruth, yeah, I have no doubt Dr. Ruth has led an interesting life. I'll have to read up on. But Mecca, remember what I said though? You said about most people about most people now that want to say, I want to see myself on screen. I want to see myself represented on screen. Those are the people usually saying that are too ugly to have sex with. So,
right?
Yeah. They want to see myself on. They want to see people just as ugly as they are on screen. Not saying I'm a prize. Okay. I'm certainly, like I said, I'm certainly not Brad Pitt. But at the same time, I want to see people that are good looking on screen. I really, like I said, this whole thing, I want to see myself. No. If I want to see myself in every movie, everything would star Jack Black. Okay.
Apparently, was just told by Captain April that apparently in her youth, Dr. Ruth was apparently a sniper in the Israeli army.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was.
Really?
Yeah, she was.
I think that's some other part of the movie too. Yeah, I just heard about this. Yeah.
Tom, get her on the show.
She's still alive.
91, yes.
Talking about, and this is what I'm talking about. There are strong women out there that are just as sexy as they are strong, and that's the thing. They just don't think because we can be attracted to somebody that we can respect her, and that's the fallacy. That's the problem. You know, and
these stupid girls are just not confident. They just don't have any confidence in who they are. They have to go and tear down other people, and that is the biggest problem. Is that they're so used to they're so used to getting a ribbon for fucking everything. They don't develop any sort of desire to do better. They don't have any sort of I failed at this, so maybe I need to try a little harder next time. They don't experience life. They're so coddled and protected and sheltered, and they just don't have the actual confidence to be sexy or to let other people have opinions without going, I'm going to deplatform you because I don't like your opinion. And they are not adults. They will not. Here's the thing. I got to turn the camera on for this. They are not adults. They will not grow up and take responsibility for what they want to see and what they don't want to see. They just want to shut everybody up who they don't agree with. And they don't realize, I can block words. I can filter this shit out, or I can do this and that. And they just are so damn childish and self-important. Every movie needs to star them. Every tweet has to be about them. Everything in the world has to be about them because they are the mentality of 6-year-olds, and I'm sick of it.
Can I say something here as a parent who just recently graduated a kid to adulthood? I wish I would have been more strict. I wish I felt like I could have actually disciplined him like my folks would. And this is my advice to any parents out there with younger kids as they come into teenagehood. It's worth a night in jail to kick their ass to teach them a lesson.
I don't know.
I'm going to tell you right now, these kids nowadays, they need it. They need it. And parents it's too much of this, hey, buddy, what are we going to do about this, huh? Fuck you, mom. Fuck you, dad. I ain't going to do a shit and thing about it. That's what.
Because I'm going to call the cops on you. Discipline me.
Yeah, and this goes to what we were talking about earlier in the conversation I wanted to bring up when we were talking about theaters, but we got so past it that it didn't matter, but it's still relevant now. This part of it is that these parents don't discipline or take care of their kids out in public. It used to be your responsibility to take care of your kids. I remember when I was a kid, I wasn't the one getting dirty looks when I was being a shithead. It was my mom and dad. And you believe me, we got to feel the wrath of their embarrassment either in the car or on the way home. Shit, they wouldn't even wait sometimes. If they'd go out in the hallway and make sure that we knew what we were doing was wrong. And that's the problem. These parents are afraid. So they're raising a fucking whole generation of assholes, and I'm one of them, and I feel horrible for it. And they feel so fucking like they're in what's the word I'm looking for? Entitled, thank you, to so much shit. And it's not all of them. There's some good kids out there. Don't get me wrong. It's not all of them. I'm not trying to generalize everybody. But there's this huge group of SJW, NPCs, whatever you want to fucking hang a name on them. And I'm not talking about all of them. There are people who actually are doing genuinely doing good things out there. Young people who are. So I'm not trying to diminutize anything they're doing. I'm talking about the ones who sit on their ass and not do anything for anybody but to try and make themselves feel less white guilt, basically. Anyway, it's getting late for Rob. I know that.
I don't know if I'd agree with hit your kid, but definitely you got to be aggressive and actually make sure.
Well, I don't mean it in okay, let me be clear. I don't mean it literally. I think Rob knows what I'm saying, though.
Discipline takes many forms. Discipline takes many different forms.
Take away their shit. Take away their shit. Give them a bed.
They're not in shape. It's worse than the participation ribbon generation because this is worse. These kids tell their parents how it's going to be. I've never seen it so much in my life, and I've been a part of it.
Yeah, so you can't have that.
Well, it's what we got, man.
Well, you can't do anything else because then they threaten to call Child Protective Services or the cops, and they'll throw themselves down the stairs and say you beat them. They're little fucking assholes nowadays. A lot of them are.
That's not everybody.
I said a lot of them.
There was a Thanksgiving one time. I'll give you an example. There was Thanksgiving one time. I'm not going to say who the kid was, but someone said to me, "Hey, go get the kid. Yeah, kid's downstairs. Go tell him it's time. We're gonna have Thanksgiving dinner. Okay, cool." I said, "Come on, dude. It's gotta head upstairs. It's time for Thanksgiving dinner. Then we're gonna eat." He looks at me. "You can't tell me what to do. Nobody tells me what to do. Not even my mother tells me what to do." So I said, "Well, yeah, I'm not your mother. Get your ass upstairs." And he looked at me like, "You're telling me what to do?" He was so crestfallen that someone actually stood up to him. He couldn't believe it. And that's what we're looking at with a lot of kids these days.
Well, it's like I love that scene in I can't remember which episode of Mad Men it was. God help me, but it was like this. They're having a barbecue, and the one other guy just ends up whacking the one kid's ass, and nobody even flinches. And I like to sit there and just imagine all the SJWs losing their shit. It's like, folks, that's what it used to be like.
Oh yeah,
and that's more embarrassing than it is the kid. Believe you me.
Was that the episode with the creepy neighbor kid that was spying on Draper's wife and doing creepy
I can't
shit?
remember, but one of the kids was being a little asshole, and like I said, nobody even flinched when the guy spanked him, and that was the whole point of the scene.
I think that was it, because Draper's kids for the most part were all right. He was the creepy bastard that was like, "I want your girl's hair," and it's so cute. And he's a fucking weirdo.
Yeah, that went to a weird place, but I'm not talking about that part though. I'm just talking about the simple fact of the matter was it was nothing for
in the 60s. Yeah, that was standard.
Yeah, for a kid to get their ass whooped by 5 people before they got their ass home for doing something stupid. So you do better.
Oh yeah, nowadays you couldn't touch somebody else's kid. You can't even look at their kid.
And I don't say it's right. It's not right. But the point is just like people don't understand how far we've come, and now parents' hands are completely tied. And the same thing is happening to, men when it comes to talking to women and asking women out. We're afraid to even look at women, and I understand it because, it's hard enough for a lot of guys, teenagers, whatever, in the nerd culture to even talk to women as it is. But when you're deathly afraid that a woman's going to turn you in for sexual assault just for looking at them funny, believe you me, that's got to be even tougher. I know plenty of guys who have said, I don't even talk to women on purpose. I don't want any of them getting the wrong idea. I don't want to get accused of anything. I see a woman, I don't give eye contact. I keep my head down, and I go as far away from them as possible.
Well, I know it's a fear that goes to a lot of people, but is it a genuine fear? Should people be afraid that much, such a degree?
No, we shouldn't be afraid, but we are. And
I don't think most girls would actually do that.
I think a lot of women would. I think a lot of women would. I think there's a lot of women in this day and age that really, really, really believe and go off on men and treat men like they're second-class citizens.
I don't know. Call me the optimist here, but I'm like, I don't think most women are like that.
I had worked with an entire group of women in retail, and yes, they are like that. They will absolutely, but they will male bash. They'll gang up. They'll talk.
Maybe it's a region thing, because like where I live, like the people, I wouldn't do that, but maybe in yours, maybe it's culture, state by state.
Yeah, maybe, but yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, we got anything else, or do we want to?
No, I know you need to get to bed, Rob. So
last thing I'll mention is that apparently the reviews for that movie yesterday apparently are dropping at the moment.
Well, yeah, I'm going to see that tomorrow night. Actually,
nice.
Oh, that's right. So I want a review.
Yes,
but ask Andre if he wants it first.
I don't think that really aligns with the main channel, but
maybe not. But it's an early review, and that's all that matters to him on that part. Maybe. So.
Yes, and people like the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, freaking Beatles lunchboxes sold like hotcakes back in the day.
And then, we're pushing something that's not a franchise fodder.
Oh yeah, that. If you bought me a drink called Orange Harrison, I'd drink it.
Okay, people, like I said, if you're complaining there's too many superhero movies, too many comic book movies, you have a movie coming out this week, yesterday, which is not a franchise movie. It's not a comic book movie. It's not a superhero movie. It's okay. So yes, it's a rom-com. It might be, it's a beat if you're not a fan of it, but it's something different. Okay. You have an option. Exercise it. That's all I'll say about that.
By a veteran director who knows what he's doing.
He's going to let us know what he thinks. So till then,
all right.
Where's the theme, Rob? Or wait, we got to tell everybody out. Mecca, tell them where they can find you.
I am Mecca Random 42, your favorite YouTube harpy. I have my own channel where I'm trying to get the guys to go to Star Trek Las Vegas too, so they have a GoFundMe. You better donate or else, because you wanna see me get these guys into some trouble, right, in Vegas, and maybe let
Rob high.
Yeah, a little bit. And you can find me on my channel, and I do Twitch. I have Twitter, Patreon. I am horribly bad and behind on Patreon, and I'm over on Creepy Little Book in about an hour, talking something paranormal and spooky.
Oh, and by the way, just so everybody, speaking of Patreon, thanks for reminding me. Anybody out there who's listening is one of our patrons. I apologize. Andre is traveling right now, and I got locked out of Patreon.
Really?
It's just because of the regions. So it thinks that somebody from because we're such from two different places, it does this every once in a while. And
I know what you mean. It makes
if
you think
not able to say, yeah, it's an authorized thing within so much time, I'm locked out.
It thinks you're being hacked into it.
Yeah, so that's the only reason, and nothing has been updated on Patreon for a little bit, and I apologize profusely. I was hoping to get on there sooner than this, but he's still on vacation and whatnot with his family, I guess, or whatever's going on. So he has not been able to do anything about it. So
for those on the West Coast, Tom Holland is on the Late Show with Stephen Colbert, and he's helping puppies get adopted from the North Shore Animal League.
Aww.
Yes. So just when you think he couldn't get cooler, so check that out. Okay, you can check that out. Yeah. So, anyways, Tyler, tell them about yourself.
Well, I'm Tyler Bioshock, and if you ever need to see more of me, I'm always in the Facebook page talking about whatever's on the news, and I have my own personal podcast called the Peanut Butter Podcast, where we break down the animation stuff, film news, and I talk about my aunt, in which I have decided, due to the voting in the chat, that because she's kind of sick at the moment, I'm going to cheer her up by getting her a pair of their favorite colors, which are pink and red, so pink and red lipstick, pink and red maid outfit, and pink and red whip.
Giggity.
Yeah. and she'll probably give me pictures and say, "This is so nice of you. I love you a lot." And that's
if this weren't so inappropriate, I would say that's, but it's just so it's just I don't know. Well, that's
so creepy. We don't want to hear you talking about all the sexy stuff your aunt does. That would be like me telling you about, my cat's rectal thermometer. It's just something that's like it's icky. It's icky.
Would be a little bit less sexy.
All right. Well, anyway, we're closing on the 2-hour mark. Thanks to Mary Mayhem. Go check out her channel. As always, always delightful to have here. And as always, I'd like to leave everybody with the following words of wisdom. That's
preach it.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Thank you, everyone who's listening. And we will catch you next time.
Hi, everybody. Please proceed with your story about banging my daughter in high school.
I like big Asian butts, and I cannot lie.
I had to do a few favors.